Today you get to learn a bit about the law of demand. As you can see, I wrote down for you the more expensive an item costs, the less consumers are willing and able to buy it. The lower that an item costs, the more consumers are willing and able to buy that item. And that is your basic law of demand. And common sense will tell you that. Something is cheap, people buy more of it. When something is expensive, people buy less of it, either because they don't want it or because they can't afford it. So in order to illustrate this for you, we're going to create our own demand curve. And the way that we put it together is through a question that I asked you after your level 1 exam last week. And that is, how much are you willing and able to pay for an A in economics? We can call this the big reveal. So your results are over here on the right. The demand schedule for A's is based on your student bids after the level 1 exam. So the number of bids that I collected from you guys was 70. Now, that's certainly not the number of students we have in class, but this is the number of students that have indicated what they're willing and able to pay for an A. So this is basically my market for A's in class. So out of the 70 students, the highest bid that I had was $600 for an A. The lowest bid I had was 0, and 16 students bid 0. You can see the number of students that bid at each price level as you go down in the middle here. I recorded that just so you can see how we're building this demand graph. So here is what your graph looks like now that I've taken the schedule and I went to $600, which is the vertical axis on a demand curve. It's going to show the price of a product. In this case, the product is an A in economics. And we had one person bid it, so I placed a dot approximately at 1. The next highest bid was 400, so we had one bid there. So that's a grand total of 2 people that would be willing to pay $400. We have the person that bid 400 plus the person who bid 600. So that's why we have 2 bids at that price. At $300, we had 3 people bid it. And don't forget, $400 and $600 bidders would be happy to get it at $300. In fact, the $400 and $600 bidders are going to feel like they got a pretty good deal out of it because they were willing to pay more for that A, but they didn't have to pay full price. They got it at, well, for the $600 person, they got it at half price when you think about it. Going down to 150, it looks like we had 3 people that bid that, so now we're up to 8 A's being sold at that price in the class. At $100, we had 6 more people that entered the bidding. That was their maximum they were willing and able to pay, so 14 A's would be purchased at if the price were $100. And so as you can see, as it keeps getting lower in price, more and more students or consumers for our class are willing or able to pay for that A. And once I get down to 70, all the people that responded, well, then everybody's going to get an A. All right. When I do this with my class, I call this the case of the corrupt teacher. And of course, obviously, I'm not going to be selling A's to you this trimester or any trimester for that matter. So again, the law of demand simply states that the more you charge for something, the less people are willing and able to buy it. The lower that something is charged, the more willing and able they're able to going to be paying. Now, this curve is very specific to our class. When you look at demand curves in assignments, you're going to see it more as a straight line. It's going to be very generalized, and we're analyzing big markets with thousands, perhaps millions of people. If we're talking globally, of course, billions of people. So you don't have to build anything this specific, but note that it's negatively sloped, and that's an important piece to remember as well, because beginning of next week, we'll be putting demand and supply curves, which you'll learn about later, together, and they're going to create an X